Welcome back to another episode of the Recurring Value Podcast, where every week we shine a light on what really means to have post-sale success, where we talk with folks on the post-sale success team, from onboarding specialists to customer success managers, industry experts, and CEOs. In B2B SaaS, we need the right team in our corner because recurring revenue requires recurring value. I'm your host, Brett Sears, CEO and co-founder of Sequence and AdoptIQ, where we're focusing on building a unified onboarding and engagement platform to help companies help their move users from onboarding to activation, and then activation to engagement and an expansion, right? That's why we're doing this podcast, is to learn from leading experts to make sure that we can close the gaps and make sure that we help people grow. Today, I am super excited about our special guest, Himaanshu Sharma. Himaanshu is a seasoned product designer and onboarding UX consultant with over 12 years of experience. He's helped major brands like HSBC, Michelin, and IBM enhance their user adoption through best-in-class onboarding practices. With a strong background in creating engaging, easy-to-learn user experiences, Himaanshu is passionate about unlocking the product's true potential. So, Himaanshu, thank you for being here. I'm super excited about this conversation today. And so I want to sort of get in, ask some questions, but thank you for being here.
Thanks, Brett. It's been a while. Like last time we met some 8 months back, and thank you for giving me an opportunity. Let's get started.
Awesome. So let's give people sort of a background, because I was reading and sort of getting to know you, and then also on LinkedIn, like you've had a pretty significant amount of experience, sort of where you started and where you are now. Can you let everyone know sort of your journey a little bit as to how you got here and what you're doing now, but sort of what your path has been?
See, I'm a marketer turned designer, wherein I was the path where a bit of UX and a bit of digital marketing intersects is doing A/B testing on customer journeys, landing page optimization, website conversion funnels, and stuff like that. So from there on, like 6, 7, 8 years back, I was doing the same things for 2 or 3 companies. We were optimizing landing pages for IBM's marketplace for storage and servers, and then we were going through our analytics and analytics platform to see how customers were going across the funnel. And from there on, I saw my calling in design. Then I built my career from UI designing to UX designing. And fortunately, leaders saw an opportunity to, leverage on my marketing background to bring me in this. And I didn't know actually. Then I delved deeper into the things of how things were there, and I got to work on a lot of onboarding projects wherein I worked with 50 plus form fields to working in HSBC in Wakao, which is world-class account opening, wherein we were tasked with reducing the amount of time taken to open an account to 5 minutes. So that requires a lot of unhappy paths, happy paths, a lot of design things, a lot of KYC stuff, the things that actually goes into opening an account for an international client like HSBC, wherein governance, policies, and things are so much critical. And thereon, I also got an opportunity to work for a few projects here and there. And then I thought, why not go deeper? Because this helps me connect the dot from marketing to onboarding, because the marketing people will spend budget to bring people to the touch points wherein they will know about your products, for example a SaaS product, and there you'd state your value proposition, and then you get your aha moment and the so-called all the buzzwords of product activation, and then they get to use the first product. So this is all the play of the content, the user experience, and the I would say the halo effect, the time or the scent of information, like designing based on user intent. I recently published an article wherein I gave a simple example of designing for user intent for higher product activation, or for converting your customers. I'm just a simple framework that actually takes into account persuasive science, neuroscience, CRO, and the best practices and principles of UX, and some psychological things that new startups have been doing So I engage myself with reading a lot of books, going through a lot of case studies, my first-hand experiences using design thinking to an extent. But what I came to know that different product will have different onboarding. For example, for a SaaS which requires a lot of people to go through content, it will have a different onboarding. And for a person for a B2C product, wherein I want to see how my skin looks, will have a micro use product. And the same thing happened with my skin eye. So onboarding for all the products is very different, and all the approaches cannot be. I mean, in a way, it can be built into playbook, but as Bruce Lee says, obey the principle, but don't be bounded by them. So the same goes for UX of onboarding as well.
Makes sense. That makes sense. So it's yeah, no, there's a lot of experience in your, I know you're finishing your master's on this, and it's, in reading sort of your mindset and stuff, it's fascinating because you work with big companies and small companies. I want to sort of go, this feels like there's an awakening that's coming, that and I talk a lot about the fact that we live in a transactional model experience in SaaS, and it shouldn't be, right? We sort of think, okay, we will spend so much time and resources getting a user that success is the moment they fall out, the dollars are at the bottom of the funnel, and everyone rings a bell and says we're good. But SaaS is about expanding. How have you seen the market shift over the last 12 years from, okay, let's just get a user, let's get somebody there and we'll deal with it, to, oh, we really need to be able to move people through this process and help them get better and help them stick, because that's the long-term value of SaaS. Have you seen a shift in the market with the companies that you've worked with, or is it still let the user figure it out?
See, to be very honest, people are more focused into acquisition, building the frontline numbers, like number of signups, number of users activated, and stuff like that, which is called as vanity matrix, the AARRR. But they don't have an anti-churn strategy, which is also part of UX of onboarding. Onboarding doesn't stop when a person starts using your product. Onboarding starts, onboarding ends till you have a perfect place wherein a user is a user has been activated and he's using your product. So UX is a starting part of your anti-churn strategies as well. For example, Slack defines its UX onboarding metrics as until and unless a person has sent around 2000 messages, he hasn't onboarded successfully. So imagine the amount of thinking through, the teamwork that goes through into bringing the customers and the marketing spend uh, into making them send around 2000 messages. So more and more people should work towards anti-churn strategy rather than just keep on building new customers into the funnel. So this awareness is coming, like you need to have a proper offboarding strategy as well, so that they can switch, but there's always room to come back as well.
Makes sense. So in a smaller company, say, because I work a lot with 10 to 30 million, they're sort of starting to build out these teams. Who owns onboarding? Who should, right? Is it product? Is it marketing? Is it some version of customer success? Like, who's going to drive it? Everyone's got to have a contribution to it, but someone's got to champion it. Who do you think should champion
The
it?
thing is, see, customer success team is a buzzword that everybody uses. It's a cost function, right? It's not a profit function. Like companies sees customer success, it's very difficult to define their day-to-day job because of all the reasons that But it is everyone's responsibility to onboard customers, because from customers you are able to fund your businesses. So I see it as a diamond squad wherein everybody works towards customers, right from the touch points wherein the marketing communication teams to bring customers, and the sales people supporting them to know more about the customer, and the product team. Nowadays they are called about product led onboarding. So everybody has their vested interest in bringing the customers, and it's everybody's team. The buzzwords like customer success manager, it is important. The growth team that they say, it is important, but in smaller companies we don't have the options to build those teams. In bigger companies, I mean, you have the budget to experiment things like that. And then there are CRO angles also. If you are bringing people from the landing page side. So it's a hodgepodge of everything. So everything should work together to create a KPI, wherein each stages a person is responsible to collaborate with each other, create experiences that help customers go towards the next improvement in their lives. So I think this is what I feel.
So it's funny. It's the answer that I get all the time, and it's everyone. The challenge is that we've all said we've heard all the things where it's like if everyone's in charge, no one's in charge, right? If everyone's your customer, no one's your customer, and it becomes this really weird balance of right. I always feel bad for the product team. I tell this a lot. It's like because they had to build the product to build the features that the sales team is telling them they could be done. They have to build the solutions that the customer support team get the tickets for, and they've got to build the roadmap that the customer success team is selling. And so most of this stuff seems like it falls on the product team and they're stretched. And so it becomes this weird balance of how do we meet the user where they are, and then sort of move to that next process. How do you, when you work with companies, right? So you go in and you're like, okay, well, I'm going to do a diagnostic and I'm going to see your stuff. How do you help them define, you described Slack as 2,000 users. How do you help them identify and define sort of their metrics or their landing zones to be able to identify, okay, somebody has gone from onboarding to activation, they're engaged, now they're moving. How do you help them figure out what the important feature adoption pieces are to sort of go, okay, I think we've moved this user further down?
See, a lot of things, me as a UX designer, we don't get to work on these things as a product designer. These are all handled by product manager. We influence their decision to tell them, like, if we have a lot of data that actually tells that there's a correlation between these people sending 2000 messages and then they becoming our long-term subscribers for around 2 or 3 years. So we can find this correlation kind of stuff for all the users and then set benchmark for these. We need to have a baseline first. From these baseline, you start it's a good starting point from wherein you have correlated one action that leads to others. So in that way, that sets your baseline matrix, and then going forward, or you speak to them and then you say, what are your chances, what are your plans for improving and all, and by the time this moves, the project gets shifted to someone else. And it's a long term thing. So as a product designer, we get to influence this. Like, we have a easy idea, but ultimately product managers take a call on this AARRR. We are, as a UX designer, we are into the design principles, the design psychology, and then we work with UX writer who works on the strategic UX writing to evoke emotions or to make them or create prompts to move forward, because a lot of play happens in the UX of onboarding. There is a UX writer, there's the marketing writer. Everybody has their KPIs included in different paths for moving through customers from one journey to another, from one point A to point B. So I feel as a product designer, we can influence, but ultimately it lies on the onus lies on the product manager of how he defines. But the way I see is that you need to have a lot of data. You have to have a baseline matrix. You can start or you can get from industry. You can do some literature review or things like that at start. But if you have enough data, you can do some correlation analysis to see what leads to what. So that is a good starting point.
So what are you working on now? Like I know that you're finishing up your degree, you've got your consultants. How do you, who are your ideal customers? Who are you working with? Who's showing up and saying, we've got this problem, help us?
I till now I've gotten an opportunity to redesign HSBC's support section, in which we did a lot of usability testing, and the project ran for 4 months. When you are working in a very big company, you are just a small prick in the wall. But when you are working in a small startup, you get to see everything because numbers are less. So as and when we see some requests from the customers, we try to adopt it in the product, provided if these are the customers who bring businesses to our product. So I mean, every customers want to be king, they want to do everything, but we cannot cater to every customer. So those customers who are our typical customers and who bring money to our business, we need to make a solid call on the feature request, and then we provide them the value as it is, and we have to constantly keep on improving our experiences, monitoring our experiences, and then understanding what customers are, how customers are perceiving our journeys and our product, and then it's a constant optimization and iteration process. I think yeah. So yeah, I do a lot of audits, as you have been saying, so I get to learn from them also. Because had it been a science, everybody would have done it. It's a mixture of art as well, and when it comes to user, you are never sure whether art or science. It's a mixture of both, and now it is neuroscience and persuasion science as well. So it's kind of, I also uh, I'm trying to, every day I'm learning new things. There are so many variables into it, as I see. But I think but I have also been seeing other people getting success by following a framework or a templated approach. Maybe those experiences have been commoditized or democratized. So yeah, it might work, but I mean, in the world of SaaS, it's heterogeneous. So one experience might work in one company, it might not work in another company.
Perfect. So that makes a lot of sense. I mean, it's funny. You're like, on one end, it's so critical and it's really hard. And at the same time, it feels like you're talking about the margin. So one, do something. Meet the users, identify, here are the key functions, get them to the critical features, and then keep iterating, keep getting stronger. The same way we did with messaging, the same thing we did with marketing, the same thing we did with sales and the product. It's iteration. It's saying, here's the level of improvement. It's not a binary on off. It is about building the process to the margins and engaging that as an idea and a philosophy. That's what I'm hearing is that invest in the energy and have a better shot at driving success. Does that sound about right?
Yes, absolutely. There is also a concept of free samples when you are launching a new product. I mean, Samuel Hulick is a great author of a user onboard book. He says about free samples. For example, if you go to an ice cream shop, he gives you a spoonful of ice cream, and if you like it, you will buy it. Even if you don't like it, you know the taste. You might come back later and then try it out. So free samples also play a lot of important thing in UX of onboarding. If you're launching a new product, if you want to give a taste, people who have a vested interest or who have tasted your product, there is a high chances that they will come back. And when they have seen a bit of success, they think that using your product will be easier, and then they will be shifting towards it. There are a lot of customers. There are a lot of products who are using it as well, giving them interactive demos and stuff like that. For certain products, you cannot give them first an experience. For example, I was working for Order, which is a QR code. You go to restaurant and then you order from menu from QR code. You cannot do it in the website. So you have to go to the restaurant to find the value of the product, which actually links to the billing system and stuff like that. So certain things you need to have a lot of content that is going to help you to communicate your value propositions. Once see, onboarding is about what, starting to familiarize yourself, then build trust, then move them through to, then help them set up the logistic, and then move them through the journey. So if we follow this thing, like, I mean, so like and then we follow the psyche with which customers come in, the user intent, your acquisition channels also play a lot of role into understanding with what mental model people have come to your product. So if you want to go the maths way, you have to do a lot of uh, mapping from the entry points towards the post sign up experience or pre sign up experience. You want to give some free samples and stuff like that.
Makes sense. Makes a lot of sense. So just sort of finishing, if you were talking to, I always ask this question, if you had one sentence of advice to give to a CEO to say, here, you need to prioritize onboarding. Here's what you do. What's the one sentence that would make a difference in a CEO to prioritize this higher than maybe they are?
Have a dedicated team, which actually includes strategic UX writer, the marketing team, the acquisition team, how we are, I mean, pretty much the marketing team will be doing numbers, or one person dedicated towards it. And the CEO should have given him complete authority to do A/B testing on a continuous basis, on an iterative basis. This guy should be a numbers guy. Yeah. So for a smaller company, in a bigger company, they already have their success team manager, and put everything on product manager. It's not going to work. The CEO should also be involved in it, actually, because CEO, yeah, yeah, the CEO should also be. I will audit and give you a report, basic things, because I know that you know deep immersion, wherein I will be working with you for 1 or 3 months with your team, and then I can help you with this. This will be a hour based commercials, and then there's something, if you need some training on a basic framework of understanding of UX of onboarding. I have been writing in UX matters as well, so I can provide training to the enterprises or any startups as well, so that they can build a team. So it's from me immersing myself to doing auditing to giving them coaching.
Awesome. That's really, really, really good advice. So thank you so much for being a part of this. For everybody, thank you for sharing. If you got any value on this, please like it, share it. We need to get this message out. We've got an opportunity to make a tremendous impact with that. And so we're excited. So until the next time, everybody, thank you for being part of this. Continue to add value, and let's keep growing. So thanks, everybody. Talk to you soon.